lost to Romney. Mitt Romney, it's so good. Honestly, you just see him with his like lady Wranglers on, you know, trying to be out there like us, you know, saying things that are completely absurd, like, you know, I'm a normal person, I have emotions. Stop that! I mean, the disconnect is rather intense. You know, he says he lives on the real streets of America, like 5 different real streets he has on street, but he's there. And he just passes off things like saying, well, you know, I do make money. I made a little bit of money last year, $374,000 in speaker fees. My friends own teams. I can relate to you. Mitt Romney, and by the way, you can Google anything I say. I pull close, anything, I am Googleable. Like, you're like, no, Liz, you never really said that. I'm like, you fucking said it, Google it. Like, everything is true that I say. So he was feeling a lot of pressure when Barack Obama was taking on the banking industry, and he was at an event, and he actually said, banks aren't bad people. They're scared and feeling the same thing you're feeling. And I'm like, bloated and bitter? Really? And he really adheres to this belief that corporations are people. I mean, if corporations are people, we need Planned Parenthood more than ever. He's just not the greatest candidate because he's held every position you can have on every issue. I mean, honestly, both sides of his mouth must be exhausted. I mean, he went as far as to take credit for the auto bailout. Now, I don't know if he was really pushing for the auto bailout, and I didn't read it, but I'm guessing that the editorial that he wrote for the New York Times that was called "Let Detroit Go Bankrupt" was in full support of the auto bailout. Sure of it. But it was an this was an exercise. How many of you actually watch like I do? Like, I watched every debate. I watched every debate like it's crazy. I was a crazy person. And I would have people over, and it was like watching the Oscars, and we would play drinking games, you know. Yeah, like they said Obamacare, drink, you know, socialism, drink. So. The first debate, I thought we would drink with the word science. Worst party ever. But it was overkill. By the end of this, there was like, 15 debates, and it was, I felt, you know how you feel after a day of eating at the fair? That's what it felt like. It was just sort of sick and like, was that good? But it has been a wild ride, and to watch them, Mitt Romney is now defending his position on women, saying that of course the Republicans are the party of women, and I think we can all completely agree on that. They're the party of women, and so then he brings out Ann Romney and says, like, my wife talks to women. And she tells me that women are very concerned about the economy. They're not concerned about this birth control stuff. Like, first of all, if you don't think that birth control is linked to the economy, you have another thing that's because if they don't just jump on to the fact that deciding how many kids you're going to have, they're going to end up like on that party will just be like on the sale rack at Spencer Gifts. Like that's where they're gonna end up, with the trench. But when you hear it, it's just astounding to me. Because who begrudges anybody who's rich? I don't. Bless your heart. Get as rich as you want. We've seen lovely rich people. There's many here tonight. And I'm gonna be fucking bilking you for money in about 45 minutes. I make a lovely living. I'm happy to give back. I'm lucky. I am the lucky one who tells jokes and makes a lot of money. What the fuck? It's when you're so freakishly out of touch that it becomes weird. Like Ann Romney was on, and I heard this, and this was crazy. I was performing in Boston, and I was doing this string of one-nighters in a car, and I was driving from like Tewksbury to like, you know, some other shithole one-nighter, you know, underneath a dartboard at some club that was gonna pay me, you know, $150 in gas money. I'm driving in the car and she's on Boston Public Radio. And they were asking her about her early part of her marriage. And she said, you know, Mitt and I really struggled in college. In fact, we got by because Mitt could sell stocks. You can Google this. I sold blood and hot. When they tried to attack that Hillary Rosen for saying Ann Romney's never worked a day in her life. We all know Ann Romney worked very hard. She raised 5 kids. And I do believe, I am one of the people who does believe that in the top 3 hardest jobs, motherhood is in those jobs. It absolutely is. It's like, you know, you can put it in, you can move it around, but it's like coal miner, motherhood, and janitor at a porn theater. And you can move any of those in the top 3. Those are pretty much the top 3. And here's where their psycho train just goes off the rails, is that if we can, and we all agree motherhood's there, right? Okay, right. So, if motherhood is one of the hardest fucking jobs in the world, then why would you not allow everybody to make the choice to do it when they are trained and ready? Right? I never wanted to be a mother because I would be bad at it. Because it's hard. You're welcome. You would not believe, I get so demonized by people like, oh, I think you're just compensating because you didn't really want. No, I am not. I would be bad at it. I'm not that, I don't enjoy children that much. They don't ever have scotch or a lighter. Farting is holding up their end of the conversation. I'm not good with children. So I've seen my friends, who, like the day in and day out, you wake up, there they are. I've been to Paris 6 times, they gotta save money for college. I wasn't willing to do it. Again, you're welcome. Not to mention, I wake up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and have kids, it's about the kids, right? To me, it's about the coffee. So if I were to have a kid and coffee, and then I had to go someplace in my car, like probably for the kid, I would go to my car with the coffee and the kid, and I would set both things on top of my car. I guarantee you I would make sure that I take the coffee off the hood of the car. I am not positive that the kid would come too. Because you can't drive off with your kid on top of your car. Because if you do, then everyone thinks you're an asshole. You know? Sorry, I'm not good with kids. So you're welcome. So that is my whole point. It's like, you know, you get a job at Applebee's and they train you for a couple of days. So when you say this, you know, you talk about how much you care about motherhood, that entails a lot more than lip speak. And that's why it just drives me crazy when they say that stuff. And I just think, how do you say that A, you're the party of women, and B, that you're the party of mothers, when you don't really know what that means? You didn't even know that what the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act was when it was signed. You had to go check in to see if Romney was for it. Okay, well, yeah, and then he comes back and says something like, well, I'm so glad that women, you know, make the same to collect the same unemployment check as men now. I don't know what he said, but it was something like that. But he just doesn't inspire confidence, really, in anyone. Republicans are, you know, it's like, I've been doing this Planned Parenthood tour for a whole year now. I've done like 21 different events. And the reason I tell you that is that there's been a lot of Republican women who talk to me, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, sure. If you're looking to me to make you feel better about being a Republican pro-choice person, okay, just give $10,000 a minute. And then vote for whoever you vote for. But, like, I don't know. But, you know, they're very conflicted because they do see that this is crazy and there is this assault on women that happens constantly. And they're not enthused, and no one's enthused. It is so sad. Like, when they all dropped out of the race, each endorsement of Romney was sort of worse than the next, right? Like, Rick Santorum drops out, and I think he endorsed Romney. I think he inserted it into the, like, you know, the sort of, you know, the service agreement on iTunes or something. I think he just kind of put it in there. Rick Santorum hates Mitt Romney. Hates him. Yes, he hates him so much. He hates him as much as when you Google Santorum and it comes up Santorum. That's how much he hates him. If you don't know what happens when you Google Santorum, Google Santorum. It's gross, but you'll see what happens. Something new kind of thing. And, you know, they're all out now, and I kind of miss them all. Newt Gingrich, I'm sort of sad he's gone. You know, whoever thought that visiting a bunch of zoos wouldn't be a winning strategy? I don't know what Newt Gingrich was thinking. He's so unappealing. He's like an angry Macy's balloon that got loose. Or just like he's like banging in the buildings. Though it is sad, but now that he's gone, we're never going to have, you know, those child labor camps on the moon. But he did promise to keep talking about the moon because Callista has invested in that helmet. It's very rare that I talk about what a woman looks like who's in the public, except for when they have a helmet. Her hair is the craziest hair I've ever seen. Crazy, 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 crazy. Your hair just shouldn't look like you can take it off. It just is a rule, unless you can take it off. If it's not a wig, but looks like a wig, it kind of weirds me out. Because I'm just not big, you know, my hair is my hair. My hair serves one purpose, to provide bangs so that I don't have Botox. Like, that's my other charity, Bangs Before Botox. I'd like to give some money, raising money to make sure that ladies of a certain age can have cute bangs. So we can have a shot in our face. Because I think Botox is frightening. If you have it, bless your heart, but it kind of wrecks some stuff. Namely, the game of charades. Anyone who knows me knows I love a party game, and fuck you, you get the Botox person on your team, and they're like, disaster! I'll say it. You want to come to Thanksgiving at my house, you can't have Botox. You gotta be good at charades. Very political statement. I know, Newt. Craziest thing about Newt, well, there were several crazy things. But Newt cheated on both of his wives. And then when he went on TV to talk about that on the Christian Broadcasting Network, because he wanted to, you know, face the hard questions. cheated on both of his wives was because he was overcome with patriotism. Google this. See, this is why it's crazy. It's insanity. So he said he was overcome with patriotism, and his love of country, it clouded the reality of the relationship. To with which the journalist said, "Oh, okay." Like, that was a legitimate answer. And I'm watching this tape, and I'm thinking, if I was a journalist on the Christian Broadcasting Network, okay, I wasn't thinking really quite that, but I was thinking, if somebody said to me, I was so patriotic that I had 2 affairs, and now I'm not having affairs anymore, I thought, well, maybe you're not as patriotic anymore. And thus, I'm qualified to leave. But that's not how it happened. And Michelle Bachmann's gone. I know, what's good for America is always bad for comedy. But she did leave by actually saying that her campaign was almost mistake-free. She says so much stuff out loud. Profound! So there was a couple mistakes she made. In the campaign. You know, there was the little stuff like, you know, John Wayne's from my hometown. Oh no, it was John Wayne Gacy. But close enough. You know, some people, I guess, consider him a national treasure. Ted Bundy probably did. But, you know, that she thought Lexington and Concord was New Hampshire, and said, you know, she said, "Happy birthday, Elvis," on the day he died. And the craziest one, since we met last year, was the HPV deal. So Michelle Bachmann claimed that she, after one of the Republican debates, that a woman came up to her and said, "My 12-year-old daughter got an HPV vaccine and then became mentally retarded." There's no scientific evidence at all that somebody can have an HPV vaccine and become mentally retarded. If you're running for president, you should probably know that, especially if you're advocating against the HPV vaccine. So instead of saying what you or I would say to somebody who came up to you and said, "My daughter got the HPV vaccine and became mentally retarded," which would be, "Do you have a ride home? Call somebody for you?" No, Michelle Bachmann chose to wake up and go on the Today Show and announce that we should stop having the HPV vaccine because it makes people mentally retarded. That was a bad plan. We all had crazy people come up to us on the street and say things. I live in New York City. It happens to me 3 times a week. I once had a woman come marching up to me and tell me that she fought in the Peloponnesian Wars. I said to her,